Now moving on to the Telangana arms struggle. How did the people of Telangana started to use the arms? What made the Telangana people to think and fight with the arms? What situations led them to turn into a violent situation? Let us see here. In 1929, the Rayat Sangams were established at Nalgonda and in the Karimnagar districts, which are initially to set up against the Patels, Patwaris, Deshmukhs, revenue and the police officials, atrocities in the land collections, which were forced the people to face many kind of difficulties. Initially, this movement was started against the only of the land acquisitions, and people were forced to evict their lands who are small landholders and given for new tenants who pay for them a very high rate of interest. In this process, the AMS was joined with CPI. In the later process, AMS was taken over by CPI leaders and inclined they brought the concept of land to the tillers. In this process, the AMS leadership was handed over to the CPI, and these CPI people established many Sangams at various corners of the villages in the Karimnagar, Nalgonda and the other famous districts of the Nizam's rule places. And they also made it very clear that there should not be any vetty system in existence, and there should not be any high tax collection, there should not be any eviction of the land of the people, they should not be taking of the land of the poor person, they should not be taking the lands and giving to the other people. In this way they formulated many things and they started to fight for the social cause. And this went to a very extreme period when Mr. V. Ramachandra Reddy, a furious Dora or a Jagirdar who forcefully wanted to take the land of a washerwoman called Ilamma, and in this process the Sangams under the leadership of CPI strongly objected it. And we have a leader of Sangam, Mr. Doddi Komaraya, standing in front of him and fighting against that. This man, Mr. Ramachandra Reddy, who was furious and who could not take this kind of actions of the people and he wanted to destroy them, he took over the gun and fired the people, and it was happened in July 1946. Doddi Komaraya was killed in the firing. This has moved the people very seriously, and they started to sing the songs of Doddi Komaraya's life, and they started to agitate, and each and every village they started to make it an agitation against the Nizam rulers, Jagirdars, Doras, Patewars, all the Deshmukhs and even the revenue and the police officials faced the threat. This threat became very severe. The Nizams tried to control this by using the violent methods, but could not control this movement so seriously. And this turned into a very dangerous situation for the Nizams. They could not stop it further. So in this way, the people now started, as their Nizams are using the weapons to control them, now these AMS people were also need to take some kind of weapon to safeguard them. So they started to procure some kind of arms, and the agitation started right now in the form of a guerrilla warfare. The people started to save themselves, and in order to save themselves, they have to take the weapons. What happened next? Be there. Now moving on to the further developments of the Telangana armed struggle. The guerrilla squads were set up in order to safeguard the villages, because we have the other side people coming with the weapons. We need someone to stop them. If you go there and stop in front of them without a weapon, you can't get the response from them. So in order to safeguard yourself also, you need to defend with a weapon. That is the reason why the guerrilla squads were set up. And moving on to the other developments, Gram Raj and people courts were set up. Gram Raj was set up to settle the disputes which are between the villagers. And the people's courts were set up in order to ensure that if any kind of injustice is done to these people, the communist people are going to come and support the people. They want to bring awareness to the people. In this all process, the communists started to gain the momentum in these regions. As situations further went on, the regions where the communists were able to set up the people's court, the Gram Raj, the squads, all these people, the vetty system was banned. The vetty was become considerably less. Land tax were reduced. Grabbing of the lands was reduced. It was a positive sign for the communists. They started to have a good hold on the regions where the Nizams were restricted there. Then the developments moved on in 1947-48 to the anti-Nizam movement or anti-feudal setup. As the developments moved and gave strength to the CPI or the AMS, this moved the concentration towards the complete anti-Nizam movements. And this also gave further development for the Visal Andhra, merging Telangana with the new emerging state of Andhra region, where most of the Andhra people are speaking in Telugu, so that you can merge the Telugu speaking parts towards the Andhra to form a big, larger state of Andhra region. And moving on to the other angle of the same period, we have got the Ittehadul Muslim. The fanatic Muslims have to set up this organization, and they set up a force team known as Rajakars. These Rajakars initially started with the intelligentsia of the Muslims who are fighting for the democratic setup of the Muslim rules, or like in the Nizam state, and later they want to uphold the old Nizam style. So looking at these developments, the Doras, these people started to support them in the Rajakars fight against the communists. Now it turned into a direct civil war between the communists versus the Rajakars, who are supported by the Doras. Now it has become an interesting game here, because these Rajakars, in order to create the villages to afraid, they started to burn the villages, they started to take the women for hostages and keep them for a week and make a psychic things. And this psychic nature makes the women to get scared and afraid towards the people. These kind of new things, in order to make the people to get afraid and stop the movement, which was directly supported by the Doras, was in the peak of its movement. And if you also seen that in this process, when the shooting was going on, when a person called Battani Mogilaya was hoisting a flag on the Walangal fort, was killed, was shot dead. And later we have in the Beringpalli Janagaon Taluk, where many number of people were shot dead because of the Rajakars movement. These movements have raised the voices against the Nizams in a serious manner, and the Union government started to intervene. They merged this one into the Indian Union. Even then the communists started to fight for the spreading of the lands to the landless poor. This agitation continued further, but after 1950 this turned down completely. Indian Union started to pressurize them. How did the Nizam Hyderabad state got merged with India? Let us discuss about that. So now, merging with Indian Union, the Hyderabad state, we have seen the development of the Hyderabad state, the people fighting for the language of Telugu, then the establishment of AMS, then the establishment of CPI people joining with the AMS, the merging them, fighting them, then we have the Muslim people establishing the Rajakars. All these things have brought a major developments, and finally the day has come when the Indian Union has stepped in. After India got independence in 1947, Indian Union stepped in to get the merger of the land of Nizam state. Nizams want to be independent, but the people want to be merged it to the Indian Union so that we can have a democratic setup. So in this process, we have again the voices raised. The Congress leader Ramanand Tirtha strongly raised the voice against the Rajakars. Rajakars even attacked them seriously to threaten them that they should not participate in any of this kind of movements, so that they will not come forward in the merging of the Nizam state to the Indian Union. But finally, Osman Ali Khan was the last Nizam ruler who was elected as the Rajkrupa, or the head of the state, who represents the head of the state till 1956. See, in September 1948, finally the Indian military has stepped in and acquired the Nizam's acceptance and occupied the lands of Nizam's rule. Until India gets the complete freedom or democratic republic, like India should frame her constitution, Indians government requested them to be acting till the process, and they were forced to abolish the untouchability and all the other necessary and illegalities which are happening in the Nizam's rule. Finally, in 1950, we got the Indian constitution into effect. Even then he continued to be there. In 1952, we got the first general elections to be held, and Burugala Ramakrishna became the first chief minister of the Nizam state. And finally, this position of Osman Ali Khan as the head of the state continued till 1956, when in 1956 the Telangana got merged up with Andhra and formed the Andhra Pradesh. The state of this leadership of the head of the state was replaced by the post of the governor general or the governor appointed by the Indian Union or the Indian president. In this way, the entire Nizam's rule came to end on the date of 1st November 1956 with the formation of the Andhra state, with the joining of Telangana plus the Andhra state together forming the Andhra Pradesh state. With this we come to the end of the formation of the state of the Hyderabad. That's all we have, the struggle of the Hyderabad region.